Super simple guide to all things superannuation. Most people start with a superannuation account when they get their first job, and at the moment employers have to pay 11% of someone's salary straight into super. That's called super guarantee. What happens is when the employer pays that in, it's what's actually called a concessional contribution, where you get concessional nice tax treatment of 15%. So 15% of all of the money that goes in gets taxed. But you know what? Compared to the up to 47% tax that you would pay in your own personal name, 15% is actually pretty low. So what happens is you basically grow your superannuation, and the whole point of an accumulation fund, accumulation is it's meant to accumulate, and it grows, and most people, they'll keep it growing until they retire. And these are internally taxed at 15%. And what does that mean? Because they take 15% of the money coming in on the way in, but they also, you've got a few things that'll happen, because within your superannuation, it's invested in a whole number of things. And it doesn't matter what you invest in. Through a normal retail fund, like as an example, like an Australian super, there's usually like a pie chart that you'll see on your statements where it's a combination of things like shares, listed properties, bonds, cash, and they put it all into a pie, and then you get to choose how many growth assets, which are things that go up and down quite a lot, like the share market, or defensive assets, things like cash, bonds. So you can make that choice depending on what you're comfortable with. But anyway, so what happens is that it's invested in something like that. And of course, if you have things like a self-managed super fund, you can buy investment properties, directly held shares, even invest in businesses, a whole bunch of different things. But the whole point of this is to grow. And with all of what I've just mentioned, like let's use properties. Everyone understands properties. Properties have income, and the actual house price can go up. So there's income and there's capital growth. Basically, what happens within superannuation is that the income gets taxed at 15%, and same with the capital growth, but there is a capital gains discount. So the whole point of this is for this to accumulate and grow, and 15% is a lot better than what most people would pay in their personal name. So the whole point of this is to grow it for your retirement. Next, yes, it's following me, we have pension phase. So pension is once you get to the point where you can access your money and you can actually use that superannuation, what most people do is bring it over, and then they open up a pension account. Now, with a lot of different superannuations, especially more advanced ones, self-managed super funds, it's just a direct transfer straight over. A lot of the time the assets are kept in place, sometimes they're not. But at this point, what happens is that in pension phase, you pay 0% tax on income, which is absolutely amazing. Now, most people want to put as much money in pension phase as they possibly can, because if I was going to have money grow and get bigger and bigger, if I had to choose between paying almost 47% tax in my own personal name or paying 0% tax, I know which one I'd pick. So there are limits to how much you can keep in, and that's where transfer balance caps for balances, and that's when we get into the millions, and we can talk about that. But the whole point of pension phase, what's the catch? Wouldn't everyone keep everything in pension phase? Well, the government knows this, and they have limits. So they make you draw money out from anywhere from 4%, I think it goes up to about 12%. As you get older and older, you basically have to keep drawing more and more money out of your pension phase. So it's always important to keep a certain amount that you can easily push out. Now, the goal of this pension phase is basically to provide for people in retirement. So let's just use 5% as an example. If someone does grow this to 1 million, then what that means is that they're pulling out $50,000 per annum. And that's where most people, and when it comes to retirement living, superannuation is just one source. Most people have like a licorice all sorts of how they fund their whole retirement. They usually have a combination of superannuation, there might be age pension that comes in, it might be their shares, they might have rental properties, but where superannuation can be a great way of doing it is because it's completely tax-free. So you can't put unlimited amounts in. That's a whole separate video that I'll record. But these are the basics of superannuation. Key point to note, it doesn't get the Centrelink concessions. There were certain benefits that were on offer before. Now it's relatively straightforward. So in a nutshell, when you're working, you